Welcome into the Bunker Information Center, where we try to combine financial markets, economic analysis, and geopolitics to bring people more truth and projections so that they can capitalize on it and they can become educated. That's the main reason I do this, is to help other people. I do enjoy doing it from time to time, but really the main reason, and it's not like I want to keep up on this information. In fact, I've been cutting back. So you can see I'm not on Twitter, giving up a few things through this Lenten season. And I'm trying to cut back on some of the information that I take in, because it is a lot of information. And at times we sort of have to step back, reevaluate ourselves, and take a break. So, but with gold at $2,000, it's hard to ignore. It's hard to not come on here and at least give my opinion on what's going on in the world. And so let me try to do that through the charts and through just some opinions. So I've talked about on this channel before, when we're looking at charts and when we're looking at the moving averages, this is actually where, if you guys are curious how you do this, you just go to indicators and you just type in moving averages, or you can just type in moving, and then this is the ribbon. Okay. So if you want, you can get these different 20 SMA, 50 SMA, 100 SMA, and 200 SMA, which is special moving average. It's basically like a weekly, it's sort of like a daily. It depends on which one of these you click. So right now we're on the daily moving averages. And as you can see, like I've always said, and what I've learned is that the best time to accumulate is when the moving averages are the closest together. So we can see that we were wide here, right, between 20 and between 100. And then, that's when was the best time to sell, when we were wide for a longer period of time on the daily. Now we were skinny here. We were really consolidating in, and now we just crossed bullish. And so what I mean when I say cross bullish is that we have all of these in order. Okay. So we have the 20, the 50, the 100, and the 200 in order from top to bottom. When they get out of order like this, when the 200's on the top, that's when we look that things are looking bearish. Okay. So when you're looking at charts in the future, this is one thing to look at, is when these moving averages cross, like right here, was probably your next best time to get out, other than this wide portion that we had here. And what we can see is that we're just starting to get wide again. Okay. We're just starting to get wide. And there's a lot of concerns out there in terms of geopolitics, in terms of what's happening in the world currently. And I think that that's why we're seeing a run to gold. Gold is sort of the last thing to run. So we've seen inflation for some time now, but we haven't really seen sustained inflation, and we haven't really seen food and oil inflation. When things start to really get bad is when we start to see this oil inflation. We start to see oil basically spills over to everything. So if we're above $100 oil, we're going to have problems. And that's when the markets are probably not going to like that, because it cuts into the bottom line of a lot of different companies and corporations. Not necessarily some technology, like software companies like Oracle, for example. Someone that doesn't really use oil, they use electrons, but they use chips, right? Semiconductor chips. And, with Taiwan possibly being a target of China or Russia in particular coming up, that may lead to issues with semiconductor chips. Then you have, we already have sort of a shortage of those right now. So, we can sort of see also that neon gas, which is used in semiconductor chips, I think 80% of that comes from Russia. So with that sort of shut down, we could see sort of an issue with that. So I just wanted to bring those two things to light here just to start, and then we can take a look here at where I think we are in the cycle on gold. And so in terms of where we are in the cycle, I believe we are somewhere around, this is just an example of, let's see, possibly where we're at. because what we had here, let's see if I'm looking at the daily, we had the cross, and this is where we started to separate these moving averages, and we kept them all the way through. We basically kept them. We might have crossed a little bit here, and that's where we had a sell off. But in general, we used the 20 SMA as a support pretty much throughout. Obviously, we had this one sell off, but then we immediately came back up, tested, and resumed. So what we can see just starting to happen is we have the same sort of wedge breakout. Like we had this wedge form here, which was only a couple months, but in this case, it was even longer. So expect more volatility to the upside. And, we had these, sort of moving averages here. And we can see they're just starting to separate. If we look at this, the target of what I did from the 2020 low crash here to the upper part here around 2000. And then I did this wedge here. And so what we can see is possibly a target of around 2,500. If we can break this all-time high of about 2,100, that's what I'm looking for next. And that's where I would probably look to take profits in some gold miners. Personally, I'm not invested in any gold miners specifically. I'm invested in funds that are in my retirement account. So I am in Fidelity Select Gold and also Gabelli Select Gold, or whatever it's called. I think Gabelli Gold Fund. There's the GDX also that is sort of an ETF that follows all the different gold funds. But actually, let's take a look at that right now, just as like a general market, gold miner market, because this is where you really get the leverage on these moves. So you can see this, we're breaking out even more than gold is today, sort of in terms of the candle here. We just saw a bullish cross here. We haven't fully done the bullish cross yet. But as you can see, we were wide. I mean, it's the same thing as I've been saying. And then we're sort of skinny through here where you would want to be accumulating. This is where everyone, said gold was dead, essentially. We can see sort of this trend line that has been broken now, again, with the wedges here. And we can sort of put something out like that, where we kind of saw the support, and then we saw now we're breaking through. In terms of targets, one thing I like to do is take the wedge and then go like that. So we could see 51. If I look at the fib extension here, and I use this as a trend line, and I go to the bottom here, we can see that matches up perfectly with the first target. But really, we're looking for that 1618, which is a 65. So that's like a 75, 80% gain from here. Obviously, we can see if we have like major outperformance, we get that number. We can see on this major outperformance would be around 3871. A lot of people look for the 2618 as well. So that's around 3033. And we have the 2618 here of $88. We can look at like one of the main, I guess I would say the biggest, probably the biggest gold miner, which is Newmont. Personally, none of this is financial advice that I give you, obviously. We can see this is a major breakout for Newmont, which is just looking outstanding. It broke its all-time high. This is crazy. This is wild, actually. I didn't even realize this is, so really, usually what happens is the majors, is what they call the biggest miners, run first. Okay, and then we have once the biggest, then we have the smaller ones that run. So we still haven't really had a major run of silver miners. For me personally, and this is not financial advice at all, I'm invested in First Majestic Silver for a long-term play. I got in. I've been in and out of the stock. Luckily, I got in sort of before this run. So it was just kind of the same price that I left, or even lower than what I left like a year ago. And I also like Endeavor Silver. And then as a speculation, I'm also in platinum group metals for like a platinum play, sort of a small cap play that probably won't run until like later. But anyway, if we look at this trend line, we caught support, and now we're seeing again this sort of takeoff. We just saw this bullish cross is actually happening today in terms of the 100-day going past the 200, which is good to see. And so I would say let's see if we can make some targets here for this as well. We can take this again from the 2020 lows. We can even do this high. It's interesting. It made a higher high there. This is kind of a weird chart, to be honest. I'm not really sure what to do with this guy. But yeah, the first target's probably right now. If you got in down here, there's probably people taking profits today. I wouldn't doubt it at all. So just keep that in mind. But we have, $92. We have a target of 117. And then obviously the 2618 is 158 and the top is 224. I don't really expect to hit these tops. People are probably going to go nuts, gold. If it got to, over 2000, it starts to go to 2500. That's sort of like when we see it like a kind of a mania, at least short term. And then I would expect a pullback. But I really don't see us going into like a sustained bear market after sort of a blow off in these, to be honest. I think that gold is becoming a geopolitical strategic metal that people really thought Bitcoin was going to do, but it really just turned out to be gold. I actually could even see a scenario where the U.S. Bans gold because Russia is using it as a geopolitical weapon with China, because they are the two countries that have been accumulating it the most. And so that would be, obviously that's a huge conspiracy, massive implications. So we'll see what happens with that. But Russia basically could use gold as a oil replacement. And so, in terms of like, in terms of asking for their everything in gold instead of in like dollars, or obviously instead of like yuan or whatever they wanted to use for that. These are just some trend lines that I made in the past on oil, I guess. It's funny. I actually invested in in this thing around like $30. I got out, obviously didn't stay in, but I've been in some energy stocks as well in my retirement. So those are really doing well now as well. As we can see, this is sort of a blow off top. So, just be careful in terms of like, we could see a pullback. We just did see a bullish cross on the weekly. And so, we'll see what happens here. I do think we could get up to like 143, something like that. Even, somewhere like 167. We can do a trend-based fib extension, but from the let's see, from the 2020 lows here. I mean, it's such a weird thing. Let me just do like this actually. Yeah, let me do from 2000, see what this looks like. This should be fun. And if I take it down like that, what do we get here? We obviously get on the 1618, 231. That would be like, and crazy. Obviously the 360, 2618. I don't think that will happen. I do think we can get to 230, but that's, I think, a good target for like a very, very blow off top situation. Even like 150, I think. I mean, it would just send us into like a spiral of a depression. Obviously, food prices are going to be going insane with what's going on with oil, but also with what's going on in Ukraine. Not being able to get out. Look at wheat. I mean, oh my goodness gracious. Look at that thing. Wow, that is not good. So again, this is something where if you see this, you could run out right now or go on Amazon even and buy some wheat berries. Maybe you could have your own wheat grinder mill. Um, you can get a bunch of different types of flour: rye flour, barley flour, whole wheat, regular flour. Um, just any type of ingredients that you might need to make bread. I think is something to think about. I mean, you can buy Mylar bags with oxygen absorbers that you can put the wheat berries in, and that could last for 30 years. So these are just some ideas if you want to get really hardcore with it. Where I think that there's going to be a time in the next year where food prices will be so high just because of, look at this. I mean, this is the input cost for wheat. So not something you want to see at all. Let's see what it looks like on the daily. Wow, yeah, I mean, these are just limit up moves in wheat. And yeah, so it's pretty wild. I mean, for me, like, looking back and sort of being like, okay, I predicted all of this based on the research that I've done. If you've been, following this channel for the past like couple months, I've definitely been saying to get prepared for this type of event, but it's still crazy to see. And obviously, like, our thoughts and prayers are with people in Ukraine. It's a humanitarian crisis for sure. Some of the narratives around it are, I think, kind of getting confused, and getting people confused about what's going on. I don't think we'll ever really know the full truth of what's going on. Unfortunately, there's speculation, right? You can make speculations. I'm not going to do that necessarily right now. But this is something that you definitely don't want to see, and we're sort of just getting wide again here. I don't know, like, what this would look like, and I think we're probably close to a sort of a blow off top situation with that. We can look at silver here. We already had the breakout. Let's take a look at the fib extensions um, from this, but let's see. Yeah, I mean, for me, like, targets for silver are, one of the harder things here to do. But we're looking at, obviously, the 1618 happens to be at the previous all-time high. We look at 68.86. But if we look at this on a longer time frame, in terms of the weekly, you can see this is like the only commodity that is really like half of its price. I mean, silver usually runs last too, so I very much expect at this point. I mean, they are trying to hold the price down. The bullion banks who are short silver are trying to hold the price down right now, but I think they're having a difficult time because the physical is just so hard to get. And let's just take a look at, even if like we say this was the trend line and these are the lows here. Let's see if I can get that right. Yeah, I mean, we're looking at the 1618 as a 77. I think that's like a fair target, very fair target for me. If you're in silver miners and silver hits 77, you're probably up hundreds of percent. And that'd probably be somewhere to take some profit, even at 50, obviously, previous all-time high. 117. Another thing to think about is silver usually gets to 0.8. Unfortunately, it's hard to find these charts, but if we look at silver to oil, it usually gets to 0.8. We look at the last rally here. We had it, the top was at 0.8. Okay, so we can see it's been making higher lows, which is good. So this is like a good trend line to sort of follow here. I think we're right at the bottom of the trend line at 0.22. So if you were able to trade some energy stocks for silver stocks, or if you were able to even just buy silver and wait. I do think we'll at least get to 0.5. We can see that happened, a couple times here, even in 2016 after, even in 2020. Obviously, this doesn't even count really. So let me just look back and see. We can see there's other times it's gotten to 0.8, around here. It even got to 1. I would say 0.5 is like more of the modern day oil ratio. So if we do see $200 oil, we could see $100 silver. If we see, $150 oil, we should see, somewhere around $75 or $100 silver. So that's what I'm looking for personally. I mean, long-term target for me has always been like around 200. So we'll see how that plays out. But let's also look at platinum here, sort of getting crushed a little bit on the daily on this blow off situation. Platinum's been trading pretty weird. We did just have a bullish cross, but the 200 still has not made its way down to the bottom yet. So it's not fully confirmed, but as you can see, we had that wide scenario there. Let's see if we can take a look at some targets for platinum on the trend-based fib extension here. And yeah, we have sort of broken out. First target 2115, 2618, 2860, and then all the way at the top 4000. I wouldn't be surprised to see any of these targets, honestly, with platinum. It's very scarce. It's 30 times more scarce than gold. And I think that, we can look historically at the platinum to gold ratio even. And you can see, I mean, we can look at just all these different ratios. It's pretty interesting. Like I think Dow to silver is interesting. We can see on the long-term chart here, we did make a higher, a lower high. Okay, so we went up, we went down, and then we haven't been able to break that of the 2000. So I think, and then we're even here, we made a lower high here, and so I think we could come down and really test these levels, which is pretty crazy to think about. For people who are invested in stocks, there's still time. None of this financial advice, but there's still time to switch over from stocks to silver for sure. I actually have been looking at the gold to silver ratio. Let's see if I can get that. It's always hard to find these. I don't know why. Yeah. So here we go. Gold silver ratio. I think I have a ton of lines. Yeah, look at that. Sorry for that. I just kind of mess around on the charts sometimes, but what I'm looking for is around these, at least the 57 level. We are seeing what I believe is a bear flag here. And I think we're about to break through. And again, I apologize for all these stupid lines that I drew. But it's sort of, you can see like we're potentially about to break through, and my target for that, if we use this as the pole and then we use this as the bear pennant. I mean, I should have said bear pennant, not flag. I believe there's a potential to see like 14 to 1, which is what traditionally, like in the very past ages we've seen. I do think 30 to 1 is also something to look at. Obviously, anywhere in this range here, like 44 to 56, I think is a given at this point. So it depends what you use gold for. For me, gold is like a savings. But silver is more of like a speculation. So if you wanted to try to get more gold with your silver, you could trade in your gold right now for silver and then trade it back when it goes, to this level. I do think we're in like a potential hyperinflationary environment, which silver should do well. It should outperform gold. I think gold has made its move now to 2000. I think silver will catch up in the next couple of months here. It should at least hit $30 in the next month or so. And then if we can break 30 and we can sustain above 30 and use it as support, I do think we get to 50. I don't know what happens after that, but it should happen pretty quickly when it does happen. So hopefully you guys got something out of the video today. I know it was a lot, but yeah, hopefully you enjoyed it. If you haven't, please subscribe down below, like the video, and peace out.